Hi, this is Richard Kelly from BankUp.biz petitions. So this is my verbal evidence opposing the digital ID. I've actually already submitted two separate representations already in writing, and I thought that rather than write a third with some additional points and just put it in writing, I thought I'd write a verbal submission, which I'm going to put into a Word document. There's nothing in the rules that say that you can't include verbal evidence within a Word document, only that it has to be submitted within a Word document, and then the Word document itself can have whatever evidence in that we want to choose, right? So this actually is a really important issue. I've actually been telephoning MPs quite a lot recently. I've been telephoning them probably more than most members of the public. I've been leaving a lot of answering machine messages with feedback, particularly on various issues from privileges to petitioning. And I've been pointing out a lot of concerns in reports. This is going to be a assessment of whether or not we should have digital ID cards, right? But before I begin, I just want to make it clear that in front of me, I have actually got the 2012 Privileges Report. And it's not very good, it's not very accurate, and it's quite misleading, it's not even correct. And yet in it, it claims that it's up to the highest standard possible when there's actually quite a lot of omissions in there. And this is meant to be, concerning the MP's own privileges. So, on that note, when it comes to digital ID cards and when the government are doing other reports and other assessments and other investigations, it's quite concerning to what the standard and thoroughness actually is going to be, right? But with digital ID, I have been following the Big Brother Watch campaign quite a lot recently. The Big Brother Watch campaign are primarily encouraging people to write these submissions and to submit representations and evidence, right? So I have actually copied and pasted their template, and I added in some of my own comments to that. Now, this is the thing, right? There's a lot of issues that the Big Brother Watch campaign have covered, and I'm certain that they have or will have made a absolutely thorough representation themselves. They're likely to have covered absolutely everything that needs to be covered about digital ID and its association and usage or connection with the current surveillance, facial recognition, national security and all those issues. So there's probably not much that I can add to what Big Brother Watch probably have already done when it comes actually to the technical aspects of digital ID and the mechanisms of implementation and basically the functionality around it and what its impact is going to be in the public. They've probably likely already submitted quite a lot of statements and testimony and evidence from the public as well because they've been out interviewing people. Now, my main grudge about this digital ID is that it's one of Tony Blair's brainchilds. It's acknowledged and understood officially that Tony Blair has a direct lineage of connection to the idea behind digital ID and the pursuit of digital ID and the government wanting to pursue it. Now, I've outlined some grievances about Tony Blair anyway, to do with various things that I believe that he's done wrong, and I set those in writing, so I'm not going to go over those again now, to do with the fact that I don't think that he has legislated properly, and I think that he's created a lot of contradictions in legislation, which I've got good supporting evidence for, and he definitely is part of some unusual organisations like the Fabians and so forth, and I don't think that this is necessarily an idea which has been conjured up by the British government. In the petitions debate from, I think it was to do with the Michael Westwood petition, the one that got 3 million signatures. It was about calling a general election. I beg your pardon. And some of the MPs in that debate, which is actually on video on YouTube, claimed that the petition itself had foreign influence. The Americans or foreign countries have been encouraging people to sign it and helping promote and sharing it. And they use that as an excuse why the petition shouldn't be taken seriously, that it had foreign interference or foreign effects on it. And that's just for a petition, right? This is the fact, right? All these new laws and legislation that this government seems to be pursuing, they're not actually originating from this country. And it's not just Tony Blair, who obviously is English, but his association and affiliation with the World Health Organization, the WHO, and Klaus Schwab and all his European associates, people like Bill Gates, right? When you start getting onto the subject of the European Union and implementing or thinking of various things like digital ID or digital currency and things like that, and all these G30, G40 cities, which Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, is pursuing, right? Sadiq Khan's a member of a global organisation. So what Sadiq Khan and Tony Blair both have been doing is they're actually introducing things or pushing things on government which actually aren't originating from that country itself, which are being imposed from foreign groups, bodies and organisations who want to introduce new forms of governance which actually have been conspired and inspired, and formulated and conjured up, created from foreign bodies, groups and people, organisations, even if Tony Blair's a member of that, or Bill Gates. So therefore, don't you think that it is very ironic that in a parliamentary debate, about whether there should be a general election, when MPs want to use the excuse or want to use the claim that, it's foreign people have been trying to interfere with British politics or interfere with British processes, excuse me, foreign bodies, groups and organisations are actually trying to basically get the law made in England how they want to suit foreign groups and organisations. I mean, it's enough with the United Nations. I know we've always had the United Nations, or for a long time we've had the United Nations, right? But we're talking about these World Health Organisations and these World Economic Forum, right? The World Economic Forum is not the British government. So if the World Economic Forum are bringing out these policies and Tony Blair's been flagshipping it, but yet they're foreign people meeting and deciding what the future of England's going to be, right? Now, how very dare MPs in a debate in Parliament dare to say that the petitions had some influences from foreign bodies or groups who've been helping to share it or promote it or help to collect the signatures. How dare they use that for an excuse, right? And then you've got people like Tony Blair, and Bill Gates. Didn't Bill Gates have a meeting with Michelle Donnelly or whatever she's called, one of the secretaries of state? And isn't Bill Gates behind some of the financial money that's been put in to help create the new Department of Innovation and Technology? A lot of these people have been, influencing, lobbying and various other things. So there's actually quite a lot of foreign influence on, trying to impose on what our laws should or should not be. And Tony Blair implementing the digital ID, with his mechanisms of implementation and so forth, I don't think that it's a good idea. Firstly, right, I don't know who is being fooled by this, right? But as I sit here in my room, I am holding my telephone, my smartphone, and I am speaking into it, right? It's a card shape. It's almost flat and rectangular, right? It's got lots of information about who I am, what I like, you know, places that I might have been to, where I might want to go to. Pretty much you can figure out what sort of person I am from it, right? Who are the government fooling to try and get us to think that very stealthily and sneakily and in a very short amount of time from when, you know, Nokia phones were just bricks and you could send a text message, right? They've introduced, implemented, and literally the entire world has taken this up, whereby my digital form of what you would call who am I, what sort of person I am, right? You know, the identity of who I am in a digital form is, I am holding it in my hand now, right? I'm holding it in my hand. You've already implemented it. I'm already holding it. It is a digital version of me, my identity, right? And I'm holding it in my hand. It's got photographs of me, what I look like, and so forth, with or without added software to take biometrics from videos and still photos, right? Now, these phones were sold to us as a telephone, right? You can call and ring people. And it was sold to us whereby you can go on the internet with it, right? Now, no one suspected that as they gradually fill the phone up with their photographs and videos and it recalls where people have been and GPS and location, they will be gradually amounting a database of who you are and forming an identity in a digital form of pretty much who and what you are, right, as a person. Now, and as we have gradually been using these phones, these companies, Facebook, YouTube, and so forth, that, by the way, Facebook was promoted on the BBC and ITV. They told everyone about it and got everyone to join. So Mark Zuckerberg would never have succeeded if they hadn't been publicised widely in the media, right? At every single step of the way, they have been accept, submit, consent. These policies, we're going to be implementing this onto your phone. You have to accept, submit, and consent, or you won't be able to use the phone anymore, right? It's lockstep, 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 lockstep. We've had no vote in it, no choice in it. In the video between Nick Clegg and Mark Zuckerberg, there is a Mark Zuckerberg Nick Clegg video on YouTube, quite easily accessible, where they're talking about, you know, the platforms and digital media companies rushing ahead quicker than the government can legislate. They were allowed to do that. MI5 is meant to check and assess for foreign threats. It's the job of MI5. They're getting paid to assess for foreign threats, and they're meant to be up to date with the latest technology. If MI5 had not assessed what the threat was from all these digital platforms, Facebook, YouTube, all these different platforms, and what they were forcing us to consent to and accept, and what this phone was becoming, right? And psychological influences, tactics, possible psychological warfare, things like that. If that's not a threat, then I don't know what is, right? And they purposely have been watching it, following it, and ignoring it until it's got to the point where we've been set up. It's entrapment, and we're all screwed now. And I think pretty much these companies have got all the data that they want on us. There are many barristers and lawyers now saying that the concept of intellectual property is soon going to be non-existent. The direction that all these policies, consent, submit, accept, for all these platforms, and they're allowed to access and use our information and data, things that you say and do, your own life, you know, is almost becoming the property, intellectual property of other entities, right? Also, if you're in your own house, right, and this is what I really don't like, there are they're using these algorithms now, and they're using data they've obtained from us to return material at us, reflect material back at us, and some of that material is very upsetting, condescending, patronising, and upsetting, you know, like, for example, you spill some orange juice, right, and the phone hears that you've done it, or you take a photograph of it and privately share it with your friend. The next thing, right, there's a character popping up on in between YouTube videos and adverts going, spilt some orange? Had an accident, have you? Well, you could do with using this. Excuse me? Who are you? Who are you? Excuse me. I am in my house, right? I am in my private house, right? A misfortunate incident happened, right? If I need to ring the police or an ambulance, I'll call them, right? I don't appreciate, right, a digital entity popping up on my phone, making a wisecrack about me having a misfortunate incident in my house, right? That is very eerie, odd, and weird, particularly when I don't seem to have a choice whether or not to invite this person into my house. Have you seen the film Lost Boys when it says, never invite a vampire into your house, right? Excuse me, consent, submit, accept. Consent, submit, accept to YouTube. And, don't tell me about going through all the phone settings and, figuring out, what things to turn off, microphones. They're making it so that you don't really have a choice anymore, and it's all going to pretty much be, you don't have a say in it. And most people now, they're making the phones that complicated or removing functions when they're not even there, right? Where people don't even know how to do their phone settings anymore. We've invited it. Going back to the 1950s, right? If someone was following you around in the 1950s, taking notes on every single thing that you did, right, and making record on it, when you haven't committed any crime, you're not a suspect, you haven't done anything wrong, right? And then suddenly, right, then they started popping up, Say you go to a bar in town, and then the barrister pops up behind the bar, right? And he's like, "Oh, all right, John." And I'm like, "How do you know my name?" "Hey, I know you like those, nice little chocolate bars. I've got one for you." Excuse me, who are you? Who are you? Well, and look, I've brought you some vouchers for that holiday to Spain that you're thinking about going on. Excuse me, how do you know my Who are you? Who are you? We've allowed strangers into our lives. They all through life, right? They told us, don't speak to strangers, don't accept gifts from strangers, don't do this from strangers. I do not know anyone at Facebook or YouTube, but they seem to now be having access to annoying me. And Mark Zuckerberg, he's like, "Oh, well, I'm getting rid of all the stuff. We're not going to have stuff, right? It's just going to be digital, right?" But this is a thing, but someone knows it all. Someone is in charge of it all, right? We've not only invited predators in. Oh no, they're not predators. It's a company. It's a legitimate company. They run by policy. They've got all these, executives and, command like Halifax Bank. It's all professional and you can trust them. No, I don't trust them. What have they done to our food sources? We trusted all these companies with our food sources, McDonald's, Subway, KFC, all these fast food chains that we allowed, the councils give planning permission for them. Costa Coffee, Starbucks, they built them everywhere. Now we found out that it's ruining our microbiome in our gut. It's not actually healthy, and it literally is a virus. A lot of these foods are really bad for us. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing something about it in America. He's trying to. But all those companies got bought out by BlackRock Vanguard, right? And they're all corporate share-owned and controlled. And our health has actually detrimentally suffered through it. We're actually, and now they don't want to take liability or responsibility for that, yet they've caused it. So it's, we're being turned into products, and we're actually being... It's not like now where, the tradesman, you pay the tradesman and he serves you. I'm paying someone to make me some shoes. He's in my service, right? No, it seems to me that not only are we in the service of these people when we go to work, like Amazon, when we come home, they want us to be under their rule, observation, directions, consent, submit, accept. The boss wants to own the worker in their own private life and when they were at home, and control everything they do in their own personal life, which is completely and totally it's inhuman and wrong. Who are these people? We don't have to work for these people. We can set up our own business. But yet these people are now infiltrating and taking over our lives, forcing us to watch these adverts in between these videos and so forth. And who can afford to, pay to go ad-free now when people can't even afford food? I really don't like this at all. Not only is intellectual property going to be non-existent because they're literally going to own everything that you think, they've even got AI to predict what you're going to do, right? And if they're even going to have AI to predict, all the things that you're going to look at or might be going to look at and what ideas you might be coming out with by combining those things together, like with these AI art apps, it's like, it's like once life becomes a computer program, what's the point in living it when, someone tells you exactly that, this is like being the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, on Thursday you've got to fly to New York, and then on Friday you're doing this, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and you're going to shake hands with the president, and then, it's almost like it's all laid out. That, most people do not want to be a Prime Minister, and their entire life is on a schedule, planned out. You've got to shake hands here, you've got to have this, there's no fun to life. It's not natural. When a plant grows upwards to the sky, it follows a pattern and it follows a general form for its species, but every plant grows different, none grow the same. And it's getting to the fact where they're trying to make humans all the same now. I really don't like it. There's a lot of psychological abuse coming from these apps, advertisements and things like that. And then to add the digital ID onto it, the phone is the digital ID, right? And everyone still thinks it's a phone, right? But they've already managed to get us all to have a form of digital identity on our person. We've all got it now, right? But no one actually has accepted it as a digital ID card, right? Now, this is Tony Blair. He's done it. Well done, Tony, with your collaborated teamwork of Mark Zuckerberg, Sergey Brin, the World Economic Forum, Bill Gates, everyone. It's a team effort. You've done it. We've got it. We've lost because we're consent, submit, accept. There is no saying no to it because now they've got us dependent on it, right? Dependent on it. Now, what the digital ID card project now that the government are working on is all about is this. Once they conjure up some ridiculous, stupid ID card, right, and get us to consent, submit and accept it to be officially declared and implemented into the British regime and culture, right, when we've already essentially got what they wanted it to be, which is a mobile phone, right, then everyone will have finalised and fully consented and accepted, psychologically accept digital identity. And if we accept that, right, then we will not resist it because we will have accepted it. But we've already got it. But once everyone accepts that digital identity card into culture, then their phone will be acceptable, right? Acceptable as a digital ID card and not as, hey, this is my personal phone. I ring people on it. This is my telephone. I use it to go on the internet. No, it's now this is your digital identity, right? And that is really what this is all about. And, and there is absolutely no doubt about it that the only purpose and only reason that the government could ever have to want us all to have digital identity is if they wanted to run the country like China. Where are you going? What buildings are you going into? What buildings don't we want you to go into, right? 15-minute cities and the rest of it. And I'm sure that plenty of people have submitted evidence of the same or similar subject to all that, tied into the digital ID cards, tied into 15-minute cities, G30, G40 cities, and all the rest of it, right? And then you've got all this, 5G effects that people are complaining about that they're saying are unsafe. I've actually had, right, this is a true story on oath. I swear this on oath and true fact, right? This is the absolute truth, right? When they have the Nokia phones, the Nokia brick phones, and I can tell you which model it is. I've actually got a photograph of it on my phone, but when it was around 1998, 2000, the models of those phones which were out at that time, I had it on my bed, and I was relaxed and laid in bed, and I felt a kind of sensation in my mind, right? And that sensation was like a mild kind of like stimulation in my brain, right? And almost kind of like if you ever get a cramp in your leg and your muscle keeps twinging, or if you get like pins and needles, or if you get if your hand suddenly kind of throbs, like it just kind of like starts like doing a throbbing feeling. Not as intense as that, but you could feel it, right? And a text message came through, and I'm like, that's strange. I just felt a throbbing in my brain, and then I got a text message, right? And it happened in the space of 2 or 3 months, about 3 times, and then it never happened again. But it definitely was the phone or the signal to the phone, because the timing of it was perfect, and it happened 3 times, so it wasn't a coincidence, right? And it was actually, Terence McKenna actually died from a brain tumour that he got. And after that incident, I could not help but wonder, did Terence McKenna get that from some kind of phone signal or some radiation or something? Because I felt it. Now, I've actually had some scans more recently, and I'm okay, right? I don't have any problems. But I know that it's possible because I felt it, actually, the effects of it. And if you were subjected to that repeatedly or for a prolonged time, you could actually, it could cause cancers or brain tumours, right? So people have got a legitimate concern when it comes to these 5G, and I know that they're fighting a lot of local councils on it at the moment. There's a guy called Mark Steele, an ex-military guy, who's really doing a lot of campaigning about it. So when it comes to all these digital IDs, 5G, implementing it into mobile phones and all these different signals, it is concerning. There are lots of things to be concerned about. But, who is Tony Blair? He was just, he's a guy. He became an MP, right? Oh, he managed to become the Prime Minister. We're meant to, the Commons, the House of Commons is meant to elect people to be a Prime Minister. When they're finished, then they've gone. It's finished. It's over, right? What is so pertinent about Tony Blair that after he's become the Prime Minister of England, rather than now someone else is the Prime Minister, he seems to continue like, okay, well, I'm still going to be in charge, and I wouldn't mind running the planet, and I'm going to have a lot of influence on the planet, and, implement mechanisms of implementation of all these things that we're going to have whether you like it or not, because, this is the future. Since when have these people become, who appointed these people, right, to become our dictators of destiny of mankind, right? We're meant to elect people into the House of Commons to make decisions on what should and should not be the law, right? We vote for those people, and the House of Lords are meant to oversee it, right? Who voted Tony Blair to be the world emperor? Who voted for Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or Sergey Brin to be the destiny of mankind, the person who dictates what mankind's future is going to be, whether we like it or not? Well, I can tell you the answer to this is, right, we bought their products, and we're buying their cars, and we're buying their mobile phones, and we're having to sit down and be enduring their adverts because they're like consent, submit, accept, right? It's like a new form of government which you cannot choose to elect, right? we give them our money and buy their products, right? But their products are now dictating what we should and shouldn't do and how we should and shouldn't live and what we have to listen to and what we don't have to listen to, and also spying on us, trojaning us, malwaring us, doing all the things that they said not to do, and all the things that in the 1950s would have been crimes and offences, but apparently we have to submit consent and accept to their policies that, it's not a crime anymore because you consented to it and allowed it. Well, no, actually you're spying on me, right? And it's stalking. What these companies are doing is they're stalkers. They're stalking people and they're trying to make out that it's perfectly normal and they're just doing it to help us. Well, if I stalk you, right, and be a freaky stalker, then I can do good things as present things that you might want. Yeah, well, I've got enough addictions and bad habits, for it to be encourageable. Oh, don't worry, we can discourage you from those soon. So you do want to control us then. Is it stalking or not? This is just, we're a legitimate company. At some point, right, someone needs to say, just a minute, right, I don't care if you're a legitimate company or not. I don't care how many billions you've got. You're stalking me and you're trying to make me submit consent and accept to that and that it's all right. It's not all right. It isn't all right. You're strangers. I don't know who you are and you're stalking me and I don't like what you're doing to me, right? And, they've accumulated that much money that they're just buying. I've got billions, so I can buy what I want. They're buying the destiny of mankind with purchase power and innovation, which they're taking and making money out of us, right? And then now they've become the new planners, dictators of the future of mankind. And for Nick Clegg to say, well, these companies raced ahead and we couldn't keep up with them, so now we need to do... Oh, no, so we let them... You're letting organisations and companies get ahead of the law, which means that they're not... The people, the citizens, right, cannot enforce anything on them because everything that they're doing and have been doing is actually beyond the grip of the law and the control of it. So it's uncontrollable. Currently, because the government haven't legislated on it, because actually they like what they were doing and they were keeping their BDI on it, and they think, oh yeah, we like what they're doing, so we won't legislate on it, because obviously MI5 know all about it, because they're meant to be keeping our national interests as priority, right? Looking out for foreign threats. Well, no, it's not a threat when they've conceded to, colluded with them in order for them to get ahead of them, and our government haven't got control of them now because there aren't any laws to control it. It's uncontrollable. So that means that the destiny of mankind is beyond the control of the House of Commons and the House of Lords, right? You've allowed Elon Musk, Sergey Brin and Bill Gates to become the destiny of mankind. The future of mankind is not controllable by the people, by the voters, and it looks like it's not controllable by Parliament. And if Tony Blair is in with these groups, it means that Tony Blair might have control of the future and destiny of mankind in one non-elected person. I did not vote for him to become a statesman, and I did not vote for him to have the World Economic Forum. He is with no votes. He carries no votes. Tony Blair has 0 votes behind him. None. He should be in control of nothing. Nothing. Nobody. He should control nothing. Right? Nothing in this world. Right? Now, what is controlling this world is the fortune of Bill Gates. What is controlling this world is the fortune of Elon Musk. What is controlling this world is the fortune of Donald Trump, the empire of Sergey Brin. That means that the electors of England are not in control of their own destiny. right? So why go vote in a polling station? Why turn up to vote? Who is in control of our destiny, right? No one. When we consent, submit, accept. We don't even consent, submit, accept. You don't have a choice of consent, submit, and accept to the law, but these people are beyond the law, because it's like the government might as well consent, submit, accept to everything that these people are doing, because they're not legislating to stop them from doing it. So at the moment, Parliament are not in control of this country. So, why don't we just crown Tony Blair the King of England? Let's just crown Tony Blair the King of England. Consent, submit, accept. How about we have a referendum? Should we consent, submit, and accept to Tony Blair, Bill Gates being the emperors of the universe? And, we won't bother going to polling stations. It could save some money. This is a thing, right? Are we going to have a referendum on digital ID? Yes or no, right? Because something that serious needs the referendum. Otherwise, mankind is not in control of his own destiny. A bunch of MPs in a committee are in control of mankind's destiny, right? And we're getting to a stage now where these issues are so serious and important that they cannot be left to a bunch of MPs on a committee. And not a bunch of MPs are coming out with the standards of this Parliamentary Privileges 2012 report I've got in front of me, right? We've got to the stage now of seriousness, and that is shown by all the protests all around England. If these decisions are not made by the people, right, then the people aren't in control of their destiny anymore. And this committee is not responsible enough. It is not adequate. Judging by the standards of this 2012 Privileges report and reports like it, it's not to world-class standards. It is not. It is not thorough and it is not correct. And those are the standards that we've got to entrust these committees with, who are dealing with this digital ID and things like that now. So I object. I object to the digital ID. I object to it and I refuse it. And if we aren't given a referendum on it, then we aren't in control of our own destiny anymore, right? And I'd like to see Keir Starmer now, if he's got full confidence in his government, then, call a general election, because he knows that he won't win it now. Keir Starmer knows that he won't win a general election now because he's lost favourability. So any legislation that he puts through or approves at this moment definitely does not have the confidence of the people behind it. So we've got serious issues. What's happened? We're being hijacked. We're being hijacked. We're subject to entrapment by deception, and a lot of people have been distracted by stupid TV game shows and morning TV who are putting a lot of misinformation out there, particularly when it comes to rights, protests, things like that we need in order to be able to intervene, right, and show strong representation. We're not getting 3 million signature petitions properly actioned on that are calling for general elections and things like that. We're being hijacked. The destiny of mankind is being hijacked, and it should never be at the mercy of money, right? Democracy is meant to be by votes of persons. It is not meant to be by bank accounts of billionaires, right? Bank accounts of billionaires are not meant to control the destiny of mankind and dictate what the future is going to be. Well, it's going to be rockets and spaceships and tanks and, whether you like it or not, because, it's the future. Since when did Elon Musk become he has no legal authority to dictate what our future is going to be whether we like it or not, because he happens to have billions of pounds. I'm going to design this. I'm going to design that. I'm going to sell it everywhere. You're all going to buy it, and that's the future. Tough, right? These are digital dictators. Every single thing now in the digital sector is, when they're talking about it, there is no alternative. They're speaking as if there is nothing else, right? Well, in another 10 years, we're going to have AI, right? And we're going, oh, are we? Every single part of it. We've departed from, there is no democracy now. We've departed from choice. We've departed from direction. The digital technology now coming out is being it's being forced on us, and there's many distractions as possible to keep people going along with it, right? By games and treats and tricks and so forth. This is the problem. Not one of these tech gurus or billionaires has ever given the option that, how about we don't do what my company's planning? How about we don't do it? So, it's like, we need it. The scientists need it, or else they can't build their new satellites, their new rocket ships, their new, right? When there is no choice, when there is no option, yes or no, right, there is no freedom, right? So Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Sergey Brin are, if there is no choice, if you can't say no to it, if you can't say, no, I don't want Sergey Brin to do that to the future of mankind, and, I don't want that to be the world's destiny, then how is that not some form of terrorism, dictatorship? And what are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it if we don't want it, right? We're the ones with the vote. We're the ones with the choice, supposedly, right? But yet, when we protest, we're getting the ones who are called the terrorists, right? Yet, with these people, there is no... my business is going to develop this, and you are going to accept it and buy it. How are they not the threat? How are they not the threat? Right? They've got one vote for one person. Now, if this government, right, is... Who do they serve? Money or humans? Votes? Votes of the many or money? Right? These people, and how do they get that money? We let them take it from us, right? And we let them charge as much as they wanted. So I've had enough of them. Right? Who do they think that they are on this blue planet in space, right? Who do they believe that they are on this planet to call us a threat, right? The only threat is to their personal profit and their idea of what the future of mankind should be. Who is in control of the destiny of mankind on this planet? Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. Who? All the people. Majority. Who?